The distance between transmitter and receiver in a given communication can be physical or psychological. Nowadays, the impact of the physical distance is minimized by the telecommunications technology. Satellites or optical fibers provide means for almost instantaneous communication between people and companies with access to these means. Therefore, we'll focus here on the other kind of distance, the psychological one. Most likely, you have already faced a situation like this. Talking to someone who is not paying attention to you, making a presentation to an indifferent audience, believing conveying message A, and in fact your interlocutor or receiver understanding B instead. Why? There are two concepts that help in understanding how one creates or minimizes a psychological distance in a communication. The concept of noise and the concept of filter. Noise, in a physical communication, for example, talking over the phone, can be identified as a hiss, an environmental noise that does not belong to the main message. Similarly, there are subjective noises in a communication. When the main message is mixed with other less important messages, the latter can be considered as noise, breaking down the main message reception. A communicator or message transmitter must focus on the main message, reducing the number and extent of less important messages. Even reducing the noise, a message may not be received as originally transmitted. Using the telephone example, imagine that the receiver has an impaired hearing or is writing whilst on the phone, limiting his or her attention dedicated to that specific communication. One can infer that the receiver is using a filter. That is, the message is not captured by the receiver in its entirety. The filter cuts part of the message. The transmitter can do a lot to avoid transmission noise, but not so much to avoid reception filters. The best that the transmitter can do is knowing the interlocutor or audience and, if possible, generate interest on the receiver for the message before the message is transmitted. We can conclude that the reduction of the psychological distance between the transmitter and the receiver depends on preparation, actions to be taken before the transmission, focusing on the main message and avoiding noise. Also, knowledge about the interlocutor target audience in order to avoid filters in the reception. In our next video, we'll talk about communication barriers. Until then.